Peace, big love, big blessings, even bigger living, everything that comes with it and everything in between. You are tuned in to Thinking Out Loud with Samuel David. It's just a conversation. Thinking Out Loud is a place of empathy, accountability, reflection, recognizing where we've been, knowing where we're going, appreciating where we are right now, sharing the world of those around us with the world around us. And today we got a community highlight episode, right? I think it's extremely important to recognize the work that's being done in our community here in Wichita, Kansas, for sure, right? And you can see I got a lot of orange shirts with me. And I'm honored to feature Cure Violence ICT. It's a program dedicated to reducing gun violence in Wichita, Kansas, and across the globe, right, through innovative, evidence-based strategies. I'll let y'all fellas introduce yourselves, because I want to be respectful of names and what y'all do within the organization. So just let me know what your name is and your role in Cure Violence.
Right on. I'm Durell. My name is Durell Gilmore. I'm an outreach worker with Project We Deserve, Cure Violence ICT.
You're an R&B singer, huh? That boy got a smooth voice, I tell you what.
Hi, my name is Essex Sims, and I am a violence interrupter with Project We Deserve, Cure Violence ICT.
I'm AJ Bohannon. I'm checking in at a 10. I'm the outreach coordinator for Cure Violence.
For sure. I love it. And AJ's a friend of the show. If you don't know, AJ been on Thinking Out Loud a few times, right? So a question I normally start the conversation with, and I think it is definitely important, even though we're highlighting the full organization. You know, anytime I get an opportunity to sit with brothers, right, I love to check spirits, man. So if y'all don't mind, how is your spirit? All right, y'all can pass the mic around how y'all feel, man.
I guess I can lead with that. So I did say I'm checking out a 10. That's something that we do daily. We brief every morning with the team, and we do check-ins. It's just a scale of 1 to 10, just because we want to check each other's spirits, like you said, and want to see where everybody's at, see what they're coming into work, you know, what type of mindset they're bringing in, because the work that we do is heavy, and do understand that people have lives outside of that as well. So with me saying I'm checking on a 10, that's me being at the highest level that I can be to take on the day. So
I like that.
Again, I'm at a 10.
I like that. Thank you for sharing, bro.
Yeah, and I'll just follow that up and say the same, man. I'm on a 10 as well, man. Just every day, man, just counting it as a blessing, man, to be here. It's an honor and a privilege, man. Anytime that you can walk into your purpose, man, you're free, you get to do what you love to do, man, and you get to make a difference in the world, you know, even if it's a small difference or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So that's a blessing within itself. So definitely on a 10 plus. You know, these guys' numbers. I always say that. I multiply by the energy that's around me, man. So 10 times, you know, everybody else, man.
100%. I love it.
Yeah, I dovetail that. I'm on a 10 too, and AJ's spirit is always on high. So, and then my boy Terry as well. So yeah, I'm soaring.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. So we got 40 collectively then, because I'm on 10 as well. So we in that zone. So y'all fellas, let me know exactly what is Cure Violence ICT. You mentioned We Deserve, right, as the prefix on that. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your organization, mission-wise, vision-wise. What's the goal?
So Project We Deserve, Cure Violence ICT is a public health initiative aimed at reducing the gun violence and violence in our communities. We believe that we deserve safe streets. We deserve safe neighborhoods. We deserve healthy and whole communities all the way around. Mental health, you know what I mean, physical health, just healthy and holistic communities.
100%.
You want to add to that?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of what he said, we're just trying to mobilize the community. You know, that's part of our initiative, to mobilize the community, to get the community to be aware of the things that's happening in the community, but not just to be aware, but to be proactive into making those changes and to addressing our problems. So that's something that we take very seriously, you know. And like he was saying, like, you know, having a conversation while we were out yesterday canvassing and speaking to an older gentleman, and he just said, you know, I like to sit out on my front porch, or there's days I want to just sit in my yard, and you know, there's a feeling like you can't do that, you know, with the things that's happening around. So that's one of the things we want. We want to be able to, you know, have safe and secure neighborhoods and communities where people can do simple things like that. Just sit out and enjoy, you know, their hard work to be on homeowners and all of that. You should be able to enjoy that, you know. And so that's 100%. One of the things that we push the initiative, man, to have safe communities.
I love that.
Kind of like they alluded to, we look at it from a public health standpoint. So we look at violence as a disease. That's the approach that we take to it, and so we're trying to cure it. So hence the name Cure Violence.
Yeah.
And if the disease isn't cured, then we know it does what? It spreads.
100%.
And so we try to get in front of it to keep it from spreading, because if you don't do the things that need to be done in that moment, it can get out of hand. And so we want to prevent that from happening here in our community. So that's really the work that we do and what keeps us going.
I love that. Man, so I'm on the board of Mental Health Association, right? Mental Health America, I'm the board chair, and in this nonprofit space, something that we see on a lot, especially with this current administration, right? There's a lot of pushback and a lot of pulling of the public work that's being done from DEI. It was mentioned a little bit ago off camera even that the language has been removed by the Surgeon General, right? Highlighting that gun violence is a public health crisis. So understanding, the fight that far up, what has it been like from a local government perspective, getting support and getting assistance and recognition and how to move this mission forward?
We actually had a little bit of a situation where we did have to speak up for our funding, which from a personal standpoint, this is just me personally talking, not for the job itself, but it was a little bit uncomfortable because internally we know the work that we do, we know how important it is, and we know that if we weren't in the position and places that we were in, we know the epidemic that could probably be coming downhill. So we know the avalanche that removing us could cause. So it was kind of heartbreaking because we do a lot of work from the top to bottom, all the way from our leader, Ms. Marquita Atkins Woods, all the way, down to whoever. We all are boots on the ground. And to see the impact that we've already had in the 10 months that we've been in town, is very beneficial to the community as a whole.
Yeah.
And so to see some people have second thoughts about whether or not we should be funded or whether or not we should be in existence, it just makes you think about, do they have the best interests of the community and the kids? Because that's who we serve. For
sure. Nothing to add? You want to add anything on that?
I just think that, as gun violence is, no matter whether or not they take that statement down or not, it's still a health issue to our communities. And to piggyback on what AJ said, we did have to push a little bit, but I am elated about how the community came out to support us. People showed up at City Council. And we also have members on the local government that truly understand the need for our work.
I love that. It takes a village, right? Like that community aspect is so important. So it's dope to hear from a community standpoint, folks know the value, right, that you all are offering. And you mentioned Miss Marquita Atkins Woods, and it's certain people when their name come up, I just got to acknowledge how dope they are.
Superstar.
Right?
Superstar. For real, deserve all of that.
All of that, right? I think through the work, through Destination Innovation, the Progeny, to Word to Life, to Cure Violence, right? There's so many different things that community-wise, Marquita and the team is really changing the landscape of Wichita, Kansas, and surrounding areas. So I just had to highlight that, man. AJ, you mentioned 10 months. Y'all been doing this work. So in this 10 months, what has been some of the biggest highlights of success for you all?
Man, taking a kid from where they think they are, which they would consider the bottom, which, I mean, as adults, we know that a kid's situation really doesn't put them at the bottom, but through their eyes, they're at the bottom. And just elevating them, like he said, holistically, health-wise, intellectually. We've gotten kids to graduate high school through different schools. We partnered with McAdams Academy and things of that nature. So we've had kids on a course that speeds up the process, and they go in with 9 credits. They come out with 23.
Wow.
We've had kids that really reach out to us, and some of the kids that we considered kind of hardcore kids, and we were able to break those walls down. And now we go into a place. One of my biggest success stories, is I had a kid who wore a ski mask everywhere from the day I met him. Ski mask and
Shiesty.
Yeah, the Shiesty mask.
Word.
And so we were going to the game, and he was like, "Oh shoot, Coach AJ unlocked your car," and I'm like, "Hold on, what does he want to go to my car for?" And without even any heads up, without any redirection, He snatched his ski mask off and put it in there
Wow.
and was like, all right, I'm ready to go.
Wow.
And so I had to like choke back tears. So I'm like, dude, where his ski mask everywhere. And I always tell him like, man, take that off. Take that off. It's a representation of who you are. Let him see your face, show your face. And for 3-4 months, he went nowhere without it. So for him to take that off that day, it let me know like, man, we really reaching these kids.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah, and there's a lot of success stories that we could share, but we're dealing with young people who have experienced a lot of things, different things in life, and some of the things like the trauma that they're dealing with because of those things. And it's not always easy for them to talk about that stuff. It's not easy for them to open up. And so they develop this, this characteristic where they shut down, they're hard to reach, And some of us can attest to that because we've been there as well. So just to have kids be able to open up, young people able to open up, talk about things that they normally wouldn't talk about. For them to feel comfortable with us, as mentors, as big brothers, or however it is that they look at us. And for them to be able to open up and just share things, to get that stuff out, it helps. It helps them. And then the next thing that you notice is they'll get to thinking about things, and then they'll reach out to you and say, you know what, man, what you said really resonated with me. Now I'm really thinking about my future. How can you help me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that right there is so powerful. And these are some of the things that people don't see, but these are things that are dear to us, man. When those type of things come in, it lights a fire up under us to want to do more. You know what I mean?
100%.
I mean, I don't think I can add to that.
No, that's word. That's word.
Yeah.
That's word. No, so something that I recognize. So I work in the schools, right? I worked with youth for quite some time, right? Half of my adult life, and something that you always see is black men are normally used as like the enforcers, right, in the school system in different spaces where youth are rocking. But in my experience, I don't always see black men being enforcer type, right? It's more so like a story to share. Like, first off, as a black man, I've been through this life thing, and there's some vulnerability in sharing your life story with the youth, right? And I cue that up to ask you, what made each of you get involved with Cure Violence in the first place?
For me, my why, what made me want to be a part of this was because I wanted to be able to share with another young man or even a young lady, that young woman, my story, and wanted to see them. I always tell the young people that I come in contact with, especially now doing Cure Violence, is I'm here to try to help your growth and development and elevation. And by being vulnerable and sharing some of the insights of my story, I say that I was like Ricky, right? And my homeboys and my cousins was Doughboy.
Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, boys in the hood. Yeah. So I ran track, played football, all of that. But I found myself, at the parties, at the clubs, and here in Kansas, and when I lived in Denver. And one of my good friends, we was at a party and he got shot in the back at the party. Drive by to the party because it's like they over there. So wanted to be a part of creating a space or helping to create a space in this community where we can go hang out and all make it home, in one piece.
For sure.
And we can go to school and be there for growth, development, and elevation.
I love that. Y'all want to add anything on that?
Yeah, definitely. As far as our team go, all of us, our whys are different, and we all have different backgrounds that we come from. But I think one of the things, just like he kind of spoke of, all of us have been impacted by gun violence in one way or another, whether it's somebody we know or a family member or something like that. But me, myself, I've been on both sides of it. I actually, I spent time in prison. A significant amount of time in prison, to be exact, 28 years.
Wow.
And I've been out now 1 year and 9 months. I went in when I was 18 years old, so to come out and, be nearly 50 years old, that's most of my life. And so what I try to relay to these young people, like, that's where they headed. If they don't make some decisions, some choices that could set them on a different path, this is the possibility, it's a real possibility, and just to grow up and to grow out of things is key. And once you do, you have to gain a different perspective, and to be able to look at it and really understand what those things did to the community, what it did to our families, and all of those things dating back and thinking back on it is horrible, And we still facing those same things today. And there's just a lack of sympathy, a lack of empathy, it seems like, for people who are living that life and not really thinking about the impacts. So I try to bring the impact to the forefront so people can really understand how this affects people. And another thing to add to that, like I had 3 nephews murdered by gun violence. I have another nephew paralyzed from gun violence. And so the impacts that's close to home, those things are my why, and why I want to make a difference.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
When I think about my why, I actually go to the why not. Like, what do I have to lose? Why wouldn't I do this? One of my favorite lyricists, Samuel Davis, said, "A candle loses nothing when it lights another."
It's real life.
And so that's my why, because I don't lose anything by helping somebody navigate through their situations, especially when I know what the road looks like. Why would I not be their roadmap? Why would I let them go down this road without any instruction, without any leadership? Why not? Why would I do that? Because some of these kids really think that they are hard, but honestly, these kids have been hardened. And that's the mistake that we make when looking at these kids like, oh, that kid's too hard. No, he's been hardened. So let's get to the root of the issue. What happened?
Yeah.
What made them that way? They weren't born like that. Something happened along the lines, along their path, that turned them into what we are looking at. And so how do we turn that around? So that's my why.
I love that. Shout out to your lyricists as well. Thank you for that. Your vulnerability in that too, bro. 28 years ain't no joke. That's real. So when you're talking to the youth, how easy is it for them to receive the information you provide them from I've lived this.
Yeah.
I know it ain't worth it, right? Like I got kids, right? And when you tell your kids something, it's almost in one ear out the other because who you are. Then they might hear from somebody else. And it's like, Dad, Coach told me. I'm like, bro, I told you the same thing, right? But what is that like when you're able to share your lived experience with young folks who might be going through that same path?
I think, just like anything else in life, it's different. However, who you're dealing with, how it's received. Because one of the things I always say, man, and it's so real, like these kids now are so desensitized to things, man. So it's an uphill battle fighting through things like not a lot scare them. You know what I mean? Like the things that they see, the things that they're exposed to is so different than what we were exposed to growing up. It seemed like it's on a whole nother level. But I will say, man, when I'm telling my story and I'm talking to kids, one-on-one and being vulnerable as you put, they just shocked, like, wow, you did that much? Like, I don't ever want to do that, you know what I mean? So that opens up the conversation, like, okay, you say you don't want that, so what can we do to start changing behaviors? What can we do to set you on a different path so you don't end up having to end up in a situation like that? So it just varies from person to person, but a lot of it is shock and awe, and sometimes that's where you have to start. You get that shock and awe, and that gives you an end to start having those conversations.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, I seen it in real life when you came to Sowers, right?
Yeah.
We was at Sowers, and
Yeah.
it's really dope because we do Work to Life program out there, me and Desmond Bryant, and we use hip hop and poetry to address mental health issues, right?
Yeah.
And you and Durell came to visit, and when you shared your story, the kids was like, "You coming back again next week?"
Yeah.
Right? You coming back next week? Because
definitely.
there's a balance of like, the excitement of hearing it, and then hearing like, oh, this is real.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is real. Let me hear more about it so I can live through this since I want to be that so bad.
Yeah, it hits different when somebody's standing in front of you and it's not your favorite rapper that you listening to over the airwaves, you know what I mean? When it's somebody actually standing in front of you that's not glorifying that, that's giving you the real about it, the facts about it, come on, man. It hits a whole lot different, man,
Facts.
So, and that's what I try to do. I try to give it to them real so they can really understand it and really feel it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's talk about community impact a little bit, fellas. So in the first 3 months, it was reported through the program, right, with significant achievements, such as, mediating 5 potential gun violent incidents in the first 3 months, right? So who knows, I don't got the data for the next couple of months, right, but those first 3 months, as well as connected 61 families to vital services. right, for violence prevention. What do these successes mean for the overall Wichita community?
I'll start with the connections for services because wraparound services is a big part of what we do. Like I said, I'm an outreach coordinator, so what we do on the outreach team, shout out to Durell and Reese. She's a key part of what we do. We go out and seek partnerships and we seek to build bridges with companies who can give people in our program or their families the services that they need. We've done like helping hands. We've connected people with anger management, therapy, like I said, GEDs, housing, clothes, food. We did a shoe drive, Kicks for Kids, and we got over 100 pair of shoes where people were given their gently used shoes, or some people were given new shoes because we were going to the schools and seeing people with less than average shoes on.
Yeah.
And so we incentivized them with the shoes that we got from the community. And so that was really big. So the wraparound service is a big part of what we do. Again, shout out to Reese and shout out to Durell because we really are like zoned in on making sure that these kids and these families have everything that they need to be successful. Because a lot of people that are going through these situations, it's really because they lack. And so how do we pick up the slack for what they don't have? Because everything that they need is out there. We just need to connect them to it.
Right.
And so that's big. Now, when you speak about the mediation, that was a different type of feeling.
Okay.
To be in that room was probably one of the most intense atmospheres, honestly, that I've been in a very long time. We had two different sides on two different sides of the room. We kind of split it down the middle. And you could really cut the tension. Some people say with a knife, but you could have cut it with a butter knife, a plastic knife. It was crazy. But at the end of it, we got people in the room that we never would thought would be in the room together. We started talking about what was going on and why. And once we got down to really the ignorance of the situation, we actually got them to shake hands before they went home.
I love that.
And so some people are like, oh, they shook hands. That's not anything. But to know the tension and I wouldn't say hate, but just the disadvantages that they had in that room to get along, like nobody was looking at anybody like, what's up? It wasn't going like that.
Yeah.
So just to get them to touch skin was a huge win for us. But it's ongoing. Just because, like you said, the influence that social media has and the different things that they have out there with diss tracks and all of that stuff, it's always somebody that's not going with the flow and they're going to go against the grain, so we got to kind of reel them back in. But that's why the existence of Cure Violence is so important, because there's always work to do.
For sure.
And we will always be the ones to do it.
I love that. Question I want to ask, especially from a mediation standpoint, so knowing you all work with youth, but strong community ties, and not just to public organizations, right, but also, dare I say, street organizations. So we're going to keep it a beam there, right? Like, y'all, we know folks in the streets, OGs in some respects, right? And a lot of times when you talk to the youth, there's like a disconnect from why different organizations started, how the OGs handle things, and the youth not really listening to what the OGs have to say, right? How do we bridge that gap from a community standpoint?
I think one of the biggest advantages for Cure Violence is that just throughout our organization and our collective like members that are employed here, we have people that can be welcomed in the courthouse all the way to the trap house. And the flexibility in the group of people that we have is what really makes us effective. Because some of us can go, we've been to expulsion hearings, and some of us take a step out like, hey, that's not my lane. But then we might have to go in the trenches. And then that's where we call in some of the other people like, hey, can you go over there? And then the other ones recognize like that's not our lane. But collectively, again, we can go from the courthouse to the trap house and have our voices heard and make an impact. And I think that's huge, because you don't find a lot of people with flexibility. Like, some companies hire cookie cutter employees to where everybody is good at the same thing and they're only pushing this one agenda. But the vast array of knowledge and flexibility that we have at Cure Violence, it really helps us be effective in all aspects of the work that we do.
I love that. Anything y'all want to add on that?
Yeah, I would just say credibility is a key factor to that. You know, having credibility, it goes a long way to be able to make those connections, and to be heard and to be received. You know what I mean? Like if you lack credibility, you know, it's hard. It's hard to make those connections. But you know, like AJ said, you know, we have people on our team, you know, are credible people. You know what I mean? Credible individuals, whether it's, you know, being out there in that life, living that life at one time. You know, if you go check somebody's track record and they say, yeah, you know, yeah, he's, you know, but then they see you now and they like, oh, and they still have a level of respect for you, just on a whole nother level. That's what I've found. You know, the level of respect is on a whole nother level because they see you moving as a man now, you know, not thinking like a boy, not doing things as a boy. And you be an example that they can look at and say, you know, it's still cool to be that, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to compromise, you know, being a man, you know, or anything like that, or dumbing myself down just to try to fit in or anything like that. It's still cool to be a business owner. It's cool to be this. It's cool to be successful, you know what I mean? So that's one of the things that go a long way, you know, having that credibility.
For sure.
Yeah, the credibility. It really showed for me. We were in a high school, and like, yo, I know your daddy. Oh, I know your mom. As a matter of fact, I'm finna call her right now.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm finna cut, and then we FaceTime them and be like, look over here. You know what I'm saying? So it's they're able to say, okay, these people ain't faking the phone. Like, and because if you know my daddy, right, then you know there's some credibility to what you're saying to me. And then on the other end, as far as that connection with the parent, we're able to move more accountability to, as a parent, I'm a parent too.
Yeah.
So as adults and as adults in the community, we're able to move more accountability as how we're rearing up our kids, or maybe, you know, we just so busy, we working and doing this and you know, our peripheral vision is gotten kind of slighted because we just busy. It's
tunnel vision.
And so those connections we're able to make that, deepen the impact, and maybe they might listen a little more, you know. Whereas you were saying, like, the younger guys, the younger lady, they ain't listening to the OGs. But if you know that, you know, homie said he know my dad, and then you go check the resume.
Yeah.
Or I can pull your daddy up on my phone right now. You know, and so, okay, let me really see what you got to say. And then it's brothers and sisters holding each other accountable. So I call you and say, hey, check in on your son, check in on your daughter, you know, type of thing. And we're able to really create that village you was talking about.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
Reimagine that village and reinstitute that village.
And that's a privilege and a major advantage that I recognize that Cure Violence has, right? Is those community connections to parents, right? Same thing. I tell my kids' friends, like, yo, hey, relax. I know your peoples, like, and I know your people's. But there's such an advantage because, you know, we've seen it. A teacher might call home and the parent gonna dismiss it, and in some kind of cases, place the blame on the teacher, right? But when you got one of y'all calling, hit a little different.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, bro, hey, sis, come on, your baby boy's tripping. What can we do to put them in an advantage situation? Right. So, for sure. So, AJ, you spoke a little bit about roles within the organization. So we know Cure the Violence comprises of multiple roles, from violence interrupters, outreach workers. Shed a little bit of light on the responsibilities and the different roles within Cure the Violence and how they contribute to the mission.
We did speak on Ms. Marquita Atkins-Woods. We're under the Destination Innovations umbrella, so she's really the spearhead for the whole organization. We have program manager, which is Barkel Chamberlain, and she is really like our backbone. She keeps us in the know of everything, and she gives us things to go and places to go and things to do. Site supervisor Elbert. Then we have outreach team, which consists of myself, Rishi Parker, and Durell. We have violence interrupters, which would be Terry, Quamp, Mook, Durell, and Toya.
Okay.
And so between those people, we have a really strong team that allows us to pretty much move and navigate. So the violence interrupter, I'll let Terry talk about that because he's a violence interrupter.
For sure.
But from the outreach standpoint, like I said, we offer the wraparound services. That's a big part of what we do. But the most key part is the follow-up with the kids. Because I can tell you where to go, but I really have to make sure that you made it there.
Facts.
And so that's a big part of what the outreach team does. Because we have all the resources that you need, but are you utilizing them? You know, once I throw you the alley-oop, you got to dunk because it's because it's easy.
Real life.
And so that's what we do. We throw a lot of alley-oops from the outreach team, and it's amazing to see once those people do follow up with the resources that we give them, the outcomes. Like I said, we helped one family move brand new furniture. That's a highlight. When you drop a kid off to boxing because that's his outlet, that's a highlight.
Yeah.
You know, when we taking kids to work and we pull up on their job and they work at Brahms and like, hey, I want some ice cream or I want some chicken, or, you know, that's a win for us.
Yeah.
So just to see us move families and children from one situation to the next on the outreach team is just an amazing feeling. And so, yeah, Terry can speak on the violence interrupters.
For sure. So yeah, as a violence interrupter, what we do, man, is like he talked about earlier about the trenches, you know. So as a violence interrupter, that's where we operate most times, is in the trenches. And so what we do is detect and try to identify, you know, conflicts, whether it be ongoing conflicts or sometimes it's just spur of the moment, just happen on the spot conflicts. And our job as an interrupter is to just do that, interrupt, you know, see how we can mediate the situation, get both parties to stand down until we can come together as a team and figure out a course of action so we can move forward with the mediation and squashing the beef. But that's the main thing, just identifying conflicts, whether it be long-term conflicts that's been going on for years or on the spur of the moment. Like just out canvassing yesterday, just an example, we're out canvassing and we're walking and just canvassing through the community. And as we're walking, there's a couple of guys walking up and they're having a conflict as they're walking, and they're making threats towards each other, violent threats towards each other. And here's the thing, man, we get to go to work every day as we are, we are, you know what I mean? And that's a big part of it. So just being who I am, I knew one of the guys, and that's the advantage of being from where we're from, the communities that we're from. And so I was able to walk right into the situation. We were able to walk into it and mediate the situation right there in the street, man, to stop that, you know, to have a conversation with them, to give them some public education, you know, and say, hey, here's a number on here. You can call us, reach out to us. If you feel like this is finna go somewhere else, man, call. Let us come out. We'll come out. We'll mediate, because one of the things I told him is like these personal conflicts, man, we see it so much in the news now, where a personal conflict just between two people ends in somebody losing their lives. You know what I mean? So it doesn't always have to be a big, huge gang thing or anything like that. It could just be these one-on-one personal conflicts. And so just identifying those things, always being keenly aware to be able to see those things and move strategically as a team to figure out how to address it and everything. That's the role of the violence interrupter.
For sure.
Another component is community engagement and bringing the community and families together. So to begin to change the norm, right? The community norm, where the norm is, if we weren't there, that would have happened. Even onlookers wouldn't say a thing. They would have just let it ride out, right? And maybe somebody would have got hurt, got shot, got stabbed, whatever would have happened from that beef brewing as they walking. If we weren't there, you know, the norm right now is people just, it ain't my business, you know. And they pull their camera up and they become, you know, spectators, and they filming all the action but not willing to, you know, try to, you know, do something about it, and so, or even speak about it. So community engagement, bringing people outside and having a conversation about how that impacts our community. Like Terry was speaking about earlier, about people wanting to be able to sit outside on their porch, have their kids go outside and play, you know, and and just bringing that village back. So we had a game night. We had community game night. Seems like it's something simple, but it's people in a space. They live in apartments. They don't ever even talk to each other.
Oh, we neighbors.
Don't see each other outside of, what's up, bro? As I'm getting in the car, starting my ignition, going wherever I'm going. Yeah. But now I'm in here, like, convening with you, communicating with you, communing with you, you know, breaking bread, having fun, you know, embracing your little ones. You know, really bringing love and community back to community. We use that word so loosely.
Ooh, come on, talk about it.
We really use community real loosely.
Yeah.
But to actually be in community with one another, you know what I mean? To break bread with each other, to share, to love on each other, to have fun, you know what I mean? And you know, we was playing some bones and cards and Monopoly and, you know what I mean, doing the things that we all, that's traditional to us, you know what I mean, and having a great time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I think that, I mean, I know that that's a big component to what we do as far, especially the outreach team.
I love that.
But we all bring it in together when we do those things, the violence interrupters and outreach. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you said something there, gave me a little chill. You said community, break bread with you. We go to church, do communion, and break bread.
Yeah.
All right. Community should be breaking bread with each other, man. So recently, I seen Elbert, who I know is part of Cure the Violence, right? You mentioned, and Derek Hubbard, right? Both very credible, amazing individuals in the community, right? And they both shared success stories of seeing two separate sides, kind of like what you was mentioning, right? Two separate sides come together and squash something that may have been going on for a very long time. I think way too often, public-wise, right, we hear about the violence, we hear about the issues, we hear about all the bullshit, right? We don't shield that, but we don't get a chance to see those highlight stories and see those success stories. Knowing the sensitivity of the individuals that you all work with, where's that balance that you all find between sharing some of these success stories and letting those individuals kind of live their life the way they need to and share their success the way they need to? Because we win, I think, when we share the good news. Yeah. Right? So where's that balance at for y'all?
For sure.
I think the balance comes in first confidentiality. We try not to put names and things out there,
sure.
but we do try to share the scenario or share what just happened in a different way. Like you said, Elbert made the post. He didn't post any names.
Right.
But people with knowledge of that situation know exactly who it was. And so that, again, goes back to the credibility because they trust him to tell the story and be the narrator for a 30-year beef that they've been going through.
Yeah.
A lot of people wouldn't trust a normal person coming in and trying to get information about, we don't want to talk to you, we're not telling you nothing.
Right.
Who are you? You know? And then on the back end of that, those individuals, or just not even those two individuals, but just people in the streets in general, we've built a rapport with them, and now they are comfortable letting us in on some of those situations because they see who we are and what we're trying to do. Like the mediation, I think we had 18 boys in there, 19 boys.
Wow.
And these aren't the football players and the basketball players and the chess players. We're talking about a different type of kid.
100%.
And so when they come in that room, it's a level of trust that they have to have because the police officers couldn't get them to do that. You know, no offense to them, but the church couldn't get them to do that. No offense to them. It's a certain type of individual. It's a certain type of organization. It's a certain type of communication and respect that has to be developed. And so with Cure Violence, we've taken the time to develop that communication, that respect. And so it transfers over to, all right, let's talk.
Yeah.
I'll holler at y'all. And sometimes we give them 100 words, they might only listen to 10. But that's better than them listening to nothing. So it's the small wins.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going after. You know, I tell them all the time, we're not trying to hit home run, let's just get the first base. We still in the game.
Yeah.
And so that's what we got to do with some of these kids. But just when you're doing those type of mediations and you're doing those type of things, you want to first respect the confidentiality of the individual that you're dealing with. But then at the same time, you want to let them know, like, hey, you know the mission that we're trying to achieve, and you know the mission that you're on right now. is either one, unachievable, and if you do achieve it, it comes with some pretty steep consequences.
Yeah,
So just come holler at us and let us, turn it around.
for sure, for sure.
I think another way that, so on the individual level, that some people can share their success story with coming in contact with us. I have a story where a young man posting on his Facebook, right? If you scroll through his thing, mostly you used to see, right, pistols. Right,
Yeah.
let's just keep it a buck. Like, he got an arsenal and the drums and all of
the
that
extras.
and all the extra stuff. And then after, like, I love to cook. He a culinary artist. And then so having about 6 months into our relationship, now he putting on a show. You know what I mean? On his,
Yeah,
laying out his, he done cooked some stuff for his mom. You know what I mean? And he went and got a job. Now he's taking his mama out to eat, and he airing that instead of airing all the violence for real. Right? Because even posting those guns on there, right? I mean, they sending a message when they do that.
Right.
So now he's sharing a different message and telling a different story about himself. So as far as your question of how they can still live their lives and then share their stories as well, it's for the young people. We know the young people live online, so that's how they do it. They share it, they share their life, and they share their story online. So,
Can I answer that real quick? Yeah. So, if people out in the community want to share their stories about how Cure Violence is impacting them, there's also a QR code. There's a portal that they can go to, and because we come in contact with a lot of people and help, but we're so business minded that we solve the problem and we move to the next. So we really haven't taken the time to allow people to share how they've been impacted by the work that we do.
Okay.
But there is a place for that. And that would be wonderful because we hear it all the time. But when you actually go and you write it down or you put it in there, it's kind of like we can, in the midst of everything that we do, we can kind of sit back and look like, take a deep breath, y'all, because look at everything that we've done. So there is a place for the community to kind of pat us on the back too. And it kind of helps us on the back end with some other stuff as well. But it definitely is it's good to feel appreciated, especially when you're doing some of the hardest work that goes undone, but it's almost mandatory that we are in these spaces and places because of the things that can escalate from it.
Yeah.
So there's a place for that as well. So yeah.
No, I can imagine, right? Like you said, you got kind of next situation. Of course, the wraparound services, but I can imagine it's like a constant uphill battle.
Yeah.
Because it's the opportunities for improvement community, opportunities for healing community. I don't think it stops, right? Because trauma is built every day, right? So definitely, I think it's important that y'all do receive your kudos for the work you're doing, right? Because it's like, it don't go unnoticed. It don't go unseen. It don't go unfelt. Y'all bring these orange shirts out. You feel me? And I think that's a great flip on certain stigmas, right? Because I know a lot of Orange County jumpsuits, things like that, right? So when you see this and it's proactive, it's productive, it's positive, hit a little different.
Yeah.
You feel me? So, man, I was just thinking, because it's thinking out loud. So my mom be moving a lot. We just almost joked and said, "You the feds," right? And I know for the longest there was the stigma on no snitching. Right, don't tattletale, right? But nothing gets resolved if it's not acknowledged, right? And so, what are some tangible techniques that Cure the Violence uses to help make sure folks know, you can report to where we can resolve? Because we, as a community, we have a rough relationship with police enforcement, right? But from a community standpoint, Cure the Violence, what are some tangible ways that you make sure people know it's okay to let us know what's going on so we can address the issue?
Well, the thing about Cure Violence is we are preventative based. You know what I mean? Like, we trying to get in front of the situations before it even gets there, to where somebody is put in a situation where law enforcement is involved. So we want to try to identify situations so we can get in front of them and be preventative before it even gets to a point like that. And that's where it's going to take community as well to get involved, because if you know of things, and there's certain situations or certain conflicts or whatever, and what I mean, and yeah, that code is real. You know what I mean? That code of the streets is real, but we're not law enforcement. You know what I mean? We don't operate like that. We are a community-based program, and that's where we do our work. So Again, we want to be preventative. We want to prevent it from even going there before it gets to any of that. So there's no blurred lines when it comes to that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Police ourselves.
Police ourselves, exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly, something like that, where that goes back to the credibility of who we are, right, and who Terry is, and who AJ, and who Elbert, and who Quincy, and who Ryan, like who all these people are to their community and to families. And so when I made that joke, right, it's like if I was some academic from KU, which please go get your degree. Yeah. What I'm saying is though, if I was someone who was not tied into my community, I wouldn't even let you in my house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not letting you in my home. I'm not letting you see how I live. And I don't feel comfortable calling you if I feel like, hey man, it's about to jump off. But I know I can call Terry. I know I can call Terry because Terry he understands me. We speak the same language. He resonates with me. And so I can have that conversation and we can prevent something from happening, and the deeper these relationships go, I can feel like I can call, if I feel like I'm about to jump, I can call somebody, I can call AJ and be like, man, I'm not, hey, can I come holler at you? Or I just need somebody to talk to, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And like I can imagine relationships, right? Like I think community extends so far, right? And so it's important to have community members that are indeed in law offices, right? Who are indeed in the police force, who are indeed firefighters, who are teachers, right? Because we're better together. And when we have that type of representation across the board, it again makes community that much richer. So you got to say something, AJ?
Yeah, so I think one of the most important things, like I tell the team, is like your best ability is your accountability. Like, can I count on you to be available and show up and do exactly what I need you to do in the way that it needs to be done? And I think that's where the community is moving with us. I mean, we heard all of the jokes and stuff when we went to the schools, like, oh, y'all wear orange, y'all look like inmates, the first 2 or 3 weeks. But then when they start to figure out like what we were doing and that they could count on us, kind of changed the conversations and it changed the narrative, because it's like, okay, I got in a fight, I got expelled, but it was 8 orange shirts at my expulsion hearing speaking on my behalf.
Yeah.
My mom is unemployed, but she reached out to Reese and she gave her 8 different jobs that she can go to. So now my mom is working and they helped her. We didn't have furniture and they carried it in. Yeah. So our accountability has grown in strides just with the community, and then on the professional end, we've been given a lot of opportunities to grow and to make us more accountable in the roles that we do. One of the things that we took part in was the Urban League, Urban Professionals. We had opportunity to go through that training, and it gave us a sense of self and empowerment to do this work. And so it kind of talked about like rebranding and things of that nature. And so going through that Urban Professionals training, it makes us better at the jobs that we do, and it makes us more impactful as an organization as well.
I love that. So another question I got, right? Addressing gun violence is obviously challenging, and it's an ongoing challenge. What obstacles has the Cure Violence team faced, right? And how has the team maintained that resilience and commitment to the cause? Like I remember back in the day on 13th Street, they had the sign that showed how many senseless gun violence deaths we had. And I heard, some different people talking. It's like, we took that down because people were trying to compete against that number, right? I think access to guns and it's me thinking out loud, I think access to guns has gotten kind of wild, right? Of course, it's a Second Amendment right, but it's gotten wild, right? I don't think any kid should have access to guns, right, at all. But it's happening. So what are some of the issues that y'all ran across, and how have you stayed committed to the mission?
I think the biggest issue is changing the narrative around the impact that gun violence has. Like it's commercialized, it's glorified, it's everywhere. The number one selling video game, Grand Theft Auto, they robbing and shooting.
Yeah.
Every music video you see, they talking about shooting, toting pistols. You get it to the point to where every time you turn around, they're glorifying the guns, but not necessarily the violence. But what do you use a gun for? To shoot people. So it's almost inadvertently being fed to our community from a standpoint that they don't even recognize like what they're looking at. We got 7 and 8 year olds, like I said, on a video game, riding around, sticking people up and shooting people to rob their car. So then 8 years later, when they 16 and they just really do it in real life, and then it's like, oh, why did we not see that? Well, you didn't see it because you bought the video game that they played for 40 hours a week for the last 10 years. So they got 4,000 hours worth of violence entrenched in their brain. And so now you kind of graduate from that. They don't want to do that in a video game anymore. Now they want to do it in real life. So we really have to change the narrative around what our kids see and what our kids do, which Destination does an amazing job. Like they have Camp DI in the summer. Don't let your kids sit around and be a couch potato. Take them to the camp. They have Progeny. Like you said, with the work that you and Des do, it's different things that we have outside of Cure Violence, but still within Destination Innovation Organization that kids can benefit from and give them a different outlet other than some of the things that they're doing.
For sure.
Yeah, I think everything AJ said, man, was right on point. Just to kind of emphasize that a little bit more, like the music and everything, like, man, like it's for lack of a better word, it's demonic, man. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how else to put it, but our young people are taking this stuff in, and the visuals and everything that they taking in, it becomes sunk into their spirit, man, like for real. You know what I mean? Their minds, their spirit, and they carry this stuff every day. And like he said, now you want to start acting this stuff out, man, and you start developing hate for no reason in a lot of cases, you know what I mean? Just because you want to hate, because hate drives a lot of these actions, man. A lot of these things that we see taking place in our communities is just hate, and you know what I mean? And a lot of it is self-hate, you know what I mean? Because if you don't love yourself, you hate yourself, you know what I mean? And so a lot of what we seeing, a lot of what we hearing, a lot of the things that, we taking in these days, it definitely has a profound effect on the outcomes, you know what I mean? So how do we get them to change what they listen to? I'm an artist, you know what I mean? And I try to put out music that has a message, I can't get on the microphone and get on stage and rap to you about stuff that was going on in the 90s that I lived a part of in good conscience, as a man who stands against all of that. I can't do it. Not for a buck, I wouldn't sell out for that, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna keep on doing what I do, and I'm gonna keep on pushing the message I push, you know what I mean? And hopefully people will receive that. And I think all of us have that responsibility in whatever shape or form that we provide, that we all have a responsibility, man, to try to, like AJ said, push and change that narrative.
For sure.
Yeah. As AJ said, accountability, and as Durell, one of our VIs, says, is consistency. So you talked about resilience, right? And also what's a obstacle or one of the issue that, and when you show up in some of these young people's lives, and I keep saying young people because our age ranges from 14 to 25 or 30. Okay. And so like when you show up into some of these young people's lives, you might be one, if we're doing what we're supposed to do, you might be one of the most consistent figures in their life. Yeah. Consistent, positive figures outside of their parents. You know what I mean? And that's how we show our resilience, is because you don't get some pushback at first.
For sure.
So I can speak for myself real quick, and put myself in young Durell. Like if I am a person who have seen people in and out my life, or I was in foster care. So we deal with some, and so they bounce around. They don't believe that you're gonna be there very long. You know what I'm saying? You here for a minute and you're gonna be gone just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So keep showing up, even if they, cussing you out.
Facts. No, facts.
Hey, all right, bro, I'm gone, but I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even if they pushing on you, not physically, but pushing you away, I'm still coming. I'm gonna show up because they gonna call too. They gonna call when they need you too. And if you allow, them cussing you out and then to be like, oh, man, shoot, I ain't gonna answer my call today. No, I'm here for you. What's up, bro? What's going on with you? What's up, sis? What's going on with you? Yeah. So consistency. That's how we be resilient and we push past the obstacles that might come into play. Like maybe someone like, I ain't never gonna put my pole down. I'm gonna keep having this conversation with you about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna keep showing you love and then exposing you to things taking you places where you don't need that.
Word.
Really quick, like you said, one of the biggest challenges. So just a little project that I did within myself. It was a gun show that came to town. I challenge you or whoever's watching to do the same thing. A gun show came to town, and the systematic advertisement for the gun shows is outrageous. So if you ride around on the north side of town, there's, I think 6 bulletin boards that were advertising the gun show. And then so I went out there to Tyler and Mays Road and Ridge Road, not a one. They have the iCryo billboards, and they have the billboards with different things that advertise community and wellness. But then when you look at how the gun show is advertised on the north side, it's 6 billboards and probably a 5-mile radius.
Yeah.
That's systematic advertisement. And so when you see that, why don't they advertise that over there?
Yeah.
They only advertise the gun shows in the hood. And how easy it is for a kid to get a gun is just crazy. You can really find a fiend with an ID and tell them, hey, go in there, grab this gun for me, give them the money for it. You come out, you get in $50, you got a brand new gun.
Yeah.
And it's that easy. And so people always like, well, why do they get guns? And no, I get it, they shouldn't have guns. But why are we as a community allowing 6 billboards to go up and be advertising gun shows?
Yeah.
Where's our positive billboard?
Yeah.
Where's the billboard that pushes, health and growth and prosperity? I don't want to ride around the north side and see 6 billboards about a gun show when we already dealing with gun violence.
Yeah.
That's just like, it's a drug epidemic. They don't put up billboards about fentanyl. A fentanyl, they don't do that. But why they get to do that with guns?
Yeah.
Because my thing is, these kids are getting the guns, but I don't know nobody that make guns. And I don't know where the closest gun factory is at.
Come on.
So how are these guns getting in the hood?
Come on.
And that's systematic advertisement.
Yeah.
And if you show somebody something so many times, it's only a matter of time before they be like, all right, I keep seeing this. Let me go see what it's about.
Yeah. And it's definitely systematic. It's wild you say that, right? Because I think when I go through the north side, man, it's wild to see the amount of liquor stores, for sure. I tell my wife, I can get off K96 and it's a liquor store every time I'm stopping, right? Or a check to cash spot, right? A lot of predatory things for our community, right? You mentioned the billboards, and then one thing you see, right, it's a lot of churches, but you start to see these churches run down, beat down, tore down, right? But then these other organizations and businesses really being built up and propped up. So a lot of it is indeed systematic. And I could get into COINTELPRO and all of that. I don't got the stats, so I won't do that with Cure Violence here today, right? But it's definitely systematic, and it's an epidemic, like y'all said, man. Like our babies deserve a future, right? Their mamas and daddies deserve to see their babies get older, right? These brothers and sisters deserve to see their uncles, aunties, nieces, nephews grow, right? And so, man, put the guns down, y'all. Like, when it boils down to it, right? Like, if you ain't hunting, or protecting yourself from somebody intruding into your home, right? What you really packing for, right?
Can I just, I'm sorry to cut
No,
you off.
you're
I just
good.
want to speak on something real quick. Like you mentioned the mamas and the daddies, man.
Mm-hmm.
The mothers and the fathers have to do better. We can't be 50 years old out here living this way and then trying to tell the kids that they can't or they shouldn't.
Talk to
We
us.
can't do that, man. We cannot do that. We can't keep doing that and then, and then pointing the finger at them like they all messed up. No, we messed up.
Yeah.
50-year-olds acting like that.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Let's just be real, man. Like it's happening way too much, and they still, if we still out here at our age, at our grown up age, still pushing the narrative, still on this stupid stuff, you know what I mean? Then how do we expect the kids to do something different?
Come on.
Let's just be real, man. Like we gotta do better.
Facts.
As the adults, we have to do better. And we have to start doing better immediately. You know what I mean? In order for us to start pushing another initiative with these kids, man, we have to do better. So I just had to get that in, man.
No, I appreciate that. I'm a major believer. We talk about trophy community, right? Or trophy culture where every kid gets a trophy. Like, and parents complain about it, but it's like, yo, we giving them the trophies.
Yeah.
Everything now is a result of what happened before it.
Absolutely.
Right, and what happened before that, and what happened before that. Even when you was mentioning the music, man, it's wild because one of my favorite recent Kendrick lyrics is, "I hate when a rapper talk about guns and somebody die, they turn into nuns." Right, like yo, you pushing this, but then when something happens, when we see a reaction, when we see the result, the consequences of these actions, then everybody's like, "Oh man, pray for my baby. I need to GoFundMe because now we don't got life insurance." It's a whole thing. We could go 100 with it, right? I'm gonna spend one space on the music real quick. It's wild because you could say art imitates life or life imitates art, right? And so like my wife's family's from Chicago, and it's real.
Yeah.
Like that drill music it's wild to hear the drill music because they're really rapping their life. Not even trying to glorify it. They just talking what they know on record, which is layered. Because now you're talking what you know on record, and you're gonna be held accountable to that, right? But man, her family was in town one time, and they was like, yo, we was outside having a barbecue. That's like, we can't do this at home, right? And I definitely don't want to see Wichita in a space where we can't do this at home, right? So I major appreciate the work y'all putting in. Again, it don't go unnoticed, it don't go unseen, it don't go unfelt. I seen a Facebook post one time that was like all the old gang members is now coaches and stuff like that. And I'm like, what's wrong with that? Right? Like, yo, if they reformed and they moving positively in a different space, like, yo, let them pour into them babies in a productive way, right? And with Cure Violence, Charlotte definitely pouring into the babies in the most productive way. With Destination Innovation as a whole, right? That's a wraparound service. You feel me? With different avenues and things for the youth. Before we bounce though, y'all, again, y'all, we definitely underscored a major conversation around, and the truth around violence, right? And how being community-centered can help cure the violence, pun intended, right? What are some parting words that you fellas may have?
Sure. I think I just want to double down on what Terry said and what AJ said about accountability, and then adults, parents, take time out and be with your kids. Take some time out. Like I used to say, we give time to the things we really want to. You know what I mean? Like if I really wanted it, I'm gonna be there, or I'm gonna give it time if I really cared about it. And I know we care about our kids, so take time out. Be with them, spend some time with them. Talk to them.
Yeah.
Like really intentionally spend some time with your kids, with your young adults. Even if they 19, 20, 20, go check on them, see what they doing. Check on their mind, check on their heart. Like call them. Take some time. Really take some time with your kids.
Yeah.
Like and that's pouring out of my heart because I try to do that as a father. I didn't have a father.
Word.
Right? And I saw uncles and stuff. I didn't have what my cousins had, and so I really try to be intentional about the time I spend. So take some time with even if it's hard, even if the relationship is hard, take some time. Even if the relationship is hard with the other parent, take some time with the kid, with your child who might be an adult, might be 20, 21, 22, 25. Take some time with them.
Yeah.
Put them in the car, ride with them. Whatever it is you got to do, spend some time with your loved ones, with your babies, man. Spend some time with them.
I love that. I'm gonna pass the mic, and while they passing, you mentioned the age groups y'all touch, right? From you said 14 to 30, 25, right? And a lot of 25-year-olds feel like they old, but if they was to die today, they die so young.
Man.
Right. So, age ain't nothing but a number. Right, like live long. Age is the gift of life. That's true. So that was on my heart. I just had to say that.
For sure. I would just say, man, just kind of like he was saying, man, just get involved. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like as a violence interrupter, I feel like we all can be violence interrupters because we all face situations or we come in contact with situations, whether it's dealing with other people or ourselves, to where we can be proactive in those situations. You see something going on, a lot of it be right in our own families, man. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll sit mute on it instead of stepping in and, you know what I'm saying, and talking about it and interrupting something that could potentially cause a whole lot of hurt, man, because eventually that's what happens, man. Ultimately, that's what happens. A whole lot of hurt, a whole lot of pain, a whole lot of brokenness, and all of that could have been changed or shifted by just doing something, saying something, you know what I mean? Yeah. And too many times we sit back and say, like you said, I ain't none of my business, I ain't, you know what I mean? And then somebody's hurt, man. Then somebody's family is torn apart, you know, because that's exactly what happens, man. You know, anytime there's a death, you know, or a young person goes to prison, like I did myself at 18 years old for nearly 30 years, like that's breaking our communities, it's breaking our families, you know what I mean? So it's going to take all of us collectively. You know, yes, Cure Violence ICT, we move as a unit, but we're just one piece of the puzzle, the entire big puzzle, which is the entire community, and we need everybody to do their small parts, you know, and then we can make a big difference.
For sure.
One thing I want to do is just challenge the community as a whole, just to support nonprofits in general. Of course, Destination Innovation and Cure Violence, because that's home. But there's such an attack on these smaller organizations and nonprofits from an administration level. Again, it's something that's very strategic because some people don't want to see violence cured because they make money off violence. And so it's really not the popular thing for them to sit back and watch violence be cured. So just support the local nonprofits and organizations that you see like this, the grassroots organizations that are really, again, boots to the ground and doing the work. Then the last thing is something that I ask myself every day. You know, if tomorrow never comes, did I do my best today? And I ask myself that every day because tomorrow's not promised. So today is literally might be your last chance to give it your all. And so if tomorrow never comes, did I do my best today? Was I the best outreach coordinator? You know, were they the best violence interrupters or the best outreach workers? People in the community, were you the best neighbor? Were you the best supporter? Were you the best father, the best daughter, the best son, the best mother? So if tomorrow never comes, did I do my best today? And I have to be comfortable with the no, because all that means is that I have opportunity to do better. Yeah. And I have to be honest with myself. And there's been days that I've come to Cure Violence and not given my all, but I won't do that 2 days in a row. There's been some days where I fall short as a father. I won't do that 2 days in a row. And it's just so you take that mentality and you apply it, because it's literally people's lives are dependent on the work that we do. Whether or not somebody makes it to see another day could potentially fall on whether or not we did that mediation or did we make that phone call. So when you're dealing with delicate situations like that, you have to make sure that today, yes, I did do my best.
Oh, man, hey, y'all moving my spirit. Right, but before we part, let the viewers know in a tangible way how they can best support not just the viewers, anybody who may come across this video from a civil duty standpoint, a parental standpoint, just a community member in general, school administration. How can we best tangibly support Cure the Violence in the mission?
We do take volunteers.
Okay.
So that's a big way that the community or people can support. We do take volunteers. And again, it's a nonprofit, so anybody that would like to, give to the efforts of what we do, is an opportunity for that as well. The biggest thing, honestly, just from an outreach worker standpoint, the biggest way that the community can support is just being active. Like they said, you see a lot of things happen. They just kind of fall back and like, nah, I don't want to get involved with that. But it's strength in numbers. And the bigger the people, the smaller the problem. And so we just really want to, as a people, as an organization, as a community, we want to be big because those problems start to become smaller and smaller and smaller to where prayerfully one day it can hopefully become non-existent. But yeah, so those are definitely ways. And then like I said, we visit the website. It's cureviolenceict.org.
Okay.
And you can go there and find information about us. Also go there and do the survey and kind of give us, like I said, our kudos. And it's just different options. I encourage everybody to visit cureviolenceict.org and look at what we do from an internal standpoint. But yes, please just get involved because there's always work to do. We just need to make sure we got enough people to do it.
For sure.
One thing I'll just add to that is we just created another barcode that we'll be out in the community with. So it's a survey. And so if you have a second to take the survey, just kind of express some of your concerns in the community and things like that. So when you see us out and about, we may approach you and ask you to scan this QR code to take this quick survey. It just gives us insight of what the community's concerns are, and that way we can better address those things. And also when we have events, we're big on getting events going and getting the community together. If you hear about an event, we'll be posting it on our page, our Cure Violence page, and on our own individual page. Come out and support, come out and have some fun in the community and get a chance to talk and meet with us, greet with us, and hear a lot more about what we do and possibly how we can help you.
I love that.
All those things, all those ways, and as a community and as a people, we have some of the most in this country, and probably even in this state and city, we have some of the most power in our dollar. Is just where we put it at.
Yeah.
Right? We spend a lot of money. Come on. Hit that. So on destinationinnovation.org, hit that donate button. Dig into your Cash App, the twos and fews. Dig into your change box. Dig into your pocket. Throw it in the hat. You know what I mean? Hit that button. Donate. You definitely can support us that way. I don't wanna mess it up. Our Ms. Marquita always says the best investment that you can make is in your future and in the youth.
Yeah.
And so invest in the youth, invest in the future of this community. Put your dollar in the hat and invest in us.
I love it. Pac said ain't no hope for the youth, and the truth is it ain't no hope for the future. All right, and Miss Marquita got a really dope quote that I carry with me everywhere, right? She said, we can't make decisions about the youth without the youth at the table. Right. So again, I appreciate you, brothers. I appreciate the mission and the vision of Cure Violence, Destination Innovation as a whole. Man, I'm prayerful, confident, and hopeful that the mission continues to be executed, the vision continues to be seen, and that you brothers stay at a 10.
Yeah.
All right, and able to lift each other up if you ain't at a 10. Love y'all in real life. It's been Thinking Out Loud with the Cure Violence team. Again, I am Samuel David, your host. Make sure you like and subscribe. Stay tuned in for all these community conversations, all the various interviews we have, and just elevating the conversation in the world around us on purpose and in purpose. With love. We out.
We out of here. Yeah, peace.
Look both ways when you cross that street. Dot your I's and cross your T's. Measure twice, but cut once. Love life, live it up, bruh. Dream is good, do the work too. There ain't nothing you can't work through, and there ain't nothing I can't handle. There ain't nothing I can't handle. I look to the sky, and I thank God that I'm alive. I look to my wife, and I thank God she by my side. I've been through a lot, but I survived. It weighs on my heart from time to time, but there ain't nothing I can't handle.